Okay, so it seems I'm live, everyone. I hope I'm connected. I just need to verify. It's very difficult nowadays to actually see if we are really live on YouTube. So yeah, we'll check that. If we are live today, we have an amazing session. Of course, you have seen the topic, and you know what we're going to talk about and who is the guest. And I don't have to introduce him. He's not that active on YouTube, but he's very active on Udemy. And if you by default, I mean by chance, if you are from the Java background, if you are learning Java, if you are working in the company, you might have seen his videos. In fact, the first, in fact, if you go for any topic online, if you search for any topic online on Java, so on Udemy, the in 21 minutes comes on the top. That's what I've observed. I'm not sure if Udemy ranks based on the countries, but so it's a great platform to learn different technologies. So I wanted to discuss about DevOps and cloud because every time I go live, I do get the questions on DevOps, cloud. So I thought, again, let's get an expert. So last time we did it with Kaushik about microservices. This time we have Ranga, who will be talking about DevOps, cloud. If you have any questions on this topic, we are open to answer that. So you can also join the live session. So of course, I will get the guest on the screen. But if you want to ask question live, I'm inviting you to join this. We can only have 10 guests max. So we are two. So we can add eight more. So I'm sharing the link in the chat window. Just go there and click on that link. You can be part of this live, and you can ask your questions. Okay, so I'm sending the link, and of course, we will try to answer all your questions. But of course, we are not Rajnikant to answer all the questions, right? And we don't have enough time, so we'll try to pick up as much as possible. So let me get the guest on the screen. Hey, hi Ranga.
Hi Naveen, how are you?
Yeah, I'm doing good. I hope everything is good from your side as well. And that's the hope we can all have now. The things are very bad in the world, especially in India. So be positive, but not COVID positive. That's the mantra I'm following. Stop watching news. That's the first thing I did. So first of all, thank you so much, Ranga, for coming on this platform to share your knowledge. I'm waiting for a long time to get you on the platform, but due to time mismatch and due to other factors, we were not able to do that. So for everyone, I know Ranga from last 2 years now. So we met last time. In fact, I've been following him from a long time on different platforms, but we personally met in Hyderabad 2 years back. I went to his office, come house. Can you say that you are also living there now, or you just an office, the apartment which I visited?
It's just a place I use for recording stuff, so it's kind of an office. It's not a lot of people come there. I'm the only one who goes there, but it's kind of an office.
Oh, that's great. That's great. So it's a great place to be there because I've seen you recording the videos on the kitchen platform. That was awesome. You don't need a table when you have a kitchen platform. So Ranga, thank you so much. In fact, if some of the subscribers are from different background, like let's say Python and JavaScript, they might not be knowing you. So it all's yours. You can introduce yourself and we can get forward then.
Perfect. First of all, let me thank Naveen for bringing me on here. Naveen, I guess we are discussing, like we have met a couple of times before and we have been talking about this, and I'm really glad to see this happen. Just to give a little bit of background about myself, it's long. Like there are two consistent problems that people in IT face. Right, to get started, like when I'm starting with IT, I don't know what to learn. Right, so that's one. Like, how do I get my first job? The second problem that people would face is reskilling. Right, so I have a job, but I'm working on an outdated technology. So yeah, like I don't know how to get upskilled. Right, those are the two challenges, and that's what I observed about 5 years back. There was few challenges in the industry regarding these two things, and that's where I thought, okay, let's get started. Let's try something. Let's start something to help people upskill and also start their career. So those were the two goals with which I started in 28 minutes. Before that, I had a lot of experience in the IT services industry. I worked almost 15 years in the IT services industry, in different roles. starting from developer, team lead, project lead, architect, tech lead, like all the varied roles that are possible. I saw what the gaps were, and that's what I thought. Okay, let's create content which will help people learn quickly and also reskill. And yeah, that's what I've been doing for the last 5 years. And yeah, it's been an amazing ride. Yeah, I guess that's about it.
Oh, that's awesome. So 5 years, right, on the platform. So I guess I've started seeing your videos on YouTube first before getting on Udemy. I'm not sure if you started Udemy first or YouTube first. So I want to know from you, because since we are both educated, we prefer different platforms. I prefer YouTube over Udemy, and I have seen your approach preferring Udemy over YouTube. So what's the reason behind looking for a platform which is other than YouTube? I mean, of course, uh, Udemy is a platform where you can make courses, but what was your thinking when you thought, hey, let's focus more on Udemy than on YouTube?
Yeah, it's a very tough question to answer. Uh, everything is money, so it's just so like see like as you said, actually, I started with YouTube long before Udemy, right? I started my first channel in started my channel like I think 2012, 13, so way back, right? And when I started my channel, my intent was not to go commercial. So initially, I started creating a lot of videos on teaching C in Telugu, Java in Telugu, C++ in Telugu. So it was like a way of, I know something, let's get it out and let's do it in my mother tongue. I was not really confident about English and all that. So that's how the journey started. And after a little while, I thought, okay, people are liking this. Why not we go the full-time route? So I'm doing a job and doing this in parallel. That does not work as well as I would want it to. So I would want to go full-time. I tried YouTube. I tried Udemy. I tried a bunch of other platforms. So Udemy is not the only thing I tried. I tried about 20 different platforms at that particular point, 2015, 2016 time frame. And the one which worked out best was Udemy. And yeah, it's not really a preference or anything. It's just that I was successful on Udemy. And one of my mantras is once you are successful, just repeat doing the same thing again and again and again. I mean, once you find success somewhere, just keep adding on to it, put all my effort, dedicated everything towards that. And yeah, it's been really, really successful.
Yeah, that's right. That's important, right? Once you get started on a platform, it's very difficult to actually get the success on one particular platform. And once you get it, then you need to also maintain it, because it's not that you got a success, it will be there for a long time. If you have to keep updating your courses, you have to keep updating yourself, and that's right. You have to focus on the platform which you got success. And yes, the first thing which you mentioned, it's all about money, right? And you are another Udemy millionaire.
Oh, thank you for calling that. Let's not really talk about how much I'm making or things like that. That's like the way I see it is it's just a side effect, right? Today, what Udemy gives me is the chance to do things I love full time, right? Love creating courses. I love interacting with learners, and to be able to have the opportunity to do that full time, that is much more important than how much money I really make, right? So it's like it gives me the living. I mean, it gives me sufficient enough money to survive. Actually, not survive. It gives me a lot more than that, but the other aspects are also important. It gives me the freedom, right? So it's like today I'm talking with Naveen. I mean, I have the chance to interact with one of the most popular YouTubers just because I was successful, right? So it's, I mean, I see it as a byproduct, right? It's more like, money only matters to an extent. After that, it's all people, like helping other people, like, right? So yeah, it's been a great ride. I would definitely say that.
So that's awesome. That's awesome. So next time when I go on Udemy and to search for a course, and one of your course shows up, I know how much you're making. So maybe so we'll discuss that off stream. Great. So after that, in fact, Ranga, there are so many questions popping up. Thankfully, I've started this slow mode today. I can actually see questions. Last time, I was not able to even see questions. It was just going up very fast. So there are so many questions for you, Ranga. I hope you're prepared. I hope you have your
Oh,
glass of water ready with you. And
I have my coffee with me.
oh, okay, great. So that should give enough energy. Uh, so first question for you, since we are in the Java background and you love coffee, of course, that's a good match. We can have Java and coffee together. So how was your journey from being a Java developer? Of course, I'm assuming that you started with your career as a Java developer. From Java developer to the level you reached before leaving your job, maybe a tech lead or whatever level you are. So, how was your journey? At what point you learned what? And when you learned that, is it because you wanted to upgrade, or is it because your job wanted you to do that?
Yeah, I think that's a great question to start with, Naveen. Right. So um, you always think back how much of what happened to you is because of you, and how much of it is just random. It just happened
Right.
because you are in the right place at the right time. Right. So yeah, it's it's something. Uh, yeah, we often think about. Um, I uh, my interest in computers, like I'll go a little more back than what you asked. I'll go to my college,
Yeah, yeah, sure,
right?
sure.
So that's where I started my career. I mean, I would think that's where my seeds into computer programming started. There was uh, like this was my second semester in college. Like you can imagine how college is, right? Second semester, India Pakistan series 1999 was going on at that particular point in time. This tells me everybody that I'm very old
Oh,
guy. So yeah, I was in college 1999, and it was uh, it was a semester where I did not do anything, and I failed my first computer programming exam. Like I was supposed to write a matrix multiplication program in Pascal, and I failed. And yeah, and that's where my journey with computers started. So the next semester, and it was the first time I failed in anything, really speaking. So it motivated me to become the best programmer I can. So I was in library almost for 3 to 4 hours every day, or reading a book, or on the computer doing some programming or something. And that's where my love for programming started. And yeah, within I think after that a little while, I joined one of the bigger IT software services company, and I was initially into some other technology, Power Builder, Sybase. I don't know if people even have heard of those kind of things today, right? So that's the
I
kind of
only heard
technologies I
about those
started
things.
with, and I happened to be in the right place where I was in the right project where they were starting a brand new Java EE project. Okay,
Oh,
I know what is Java, but I don't know what is Java EE, right? So at that particular point in time, it was called J2EE, right? So they were starting a
yeah.
J2EE project, and I had no idea. And that's where my journey with Java and J2EE started. And yeah, it's been during my experience with the first company, uh, I was asked to become a manager after at that particular point in time, like 3 or 4, 5 years. Typically, you are asked to become a manager, right? But for me, my love was programming, my love was technology, and I decided, okay, this is the time to write. And I just got an increment as well, right there, just a month before I got an increment. So I decided, okay, right time to shift. Let's jump, right? So I shifted to another IT services company. Luckily, I got to the right place where I wanted to be in, right? So I shifted from a place uh, I shifted from a place where I was using a little bit of old technology to the one where I was using more newer, brand new technologies. So at that particular point in time, what I mean is Spring MVC. These were the brand new, Hibernate, JPA. So these were the brand new technologies at that particular point in time. I think until then, uh, like the the most important decision I made was the decision to switch projects, right? So switch companies, and that enabled me to learn a lot, get into a new environment. And the first year after I joined the new company, I learned a lot. I mean, I don't know if you have heard about the book Clean Code by
Yeah.
uh,
Robert,
right Bob Martin, right?
Uncle Bob,
So
Uncle Bob. Yeah.
yeah, I joined a project where clean code was the number one thing. Unit testing was the number one thing. Writing understandable code was the number one thing. And that's where I started focusing on those kind of things, not just the language aspects, but more the aspects which are related to writing good programs, right? Maintainable software. So yeah, that's kind of where my journey started. A lot of times I was in the right place, a lot of times I took the right decision as well. A little later as well, a lot of times I had to make this switch, right? So like at the end of the career, like one of the most important decisions that you need to make is when is the right time to become full time, right? So when do I stop doing the job completely and become a full time guy on creating content completely, right? So yeah,
Correct.
like a lot of aspects happened. Like I just happened to be in the right place at the right time, and I learned a lot of frameworks. I learned a lot on how to write good code, right? I would say that's the fundamental, right? How to write good code is the fundamental. And once you know how to
Right.
write good code, frameworks can be easily learned. Spring or Spring Boot or JP or Hibernate. These are, I mean, you put a week, couple of weeks, you can learn that. But programming,
True.
the fundamentals, how do you write good code? Like your architecture principles, your design principles, these are difficult to learn. These are things you pick up over a lot of effort, lot of time, lot of mistakes. You unless
Right.
you like, it's like a doctor. Unless you kill 1,000 patients, you don't become a doctor. It's the same. Unless we do badly at a few projects, you would not be doing well. I hope I answered your question.
Yeah, that was a great journey, you know. So now I can actually imagine how things went. So when you say you made a switch, you took a decision, and I understand that it's very difficult to actually decide at that point. Now at this point, it feels easy. Yeah, that I did a right decision there. But the moment you do that, there's a risk. You know, when I jump, will I be able to work in a way I was working in this company? Will I get the same opportunity? Uh, will I get everything which I wanted to get get the updates for me myself? So yeah, that was a great answer. And one thing you mentioned about the clean code, I'm trying to emphasize this from a long time on the platform, but you have put that in a proper words. It's very important to understand the code. It's very important to write a proper code. Frameworks is something you can learn anytime, right? That's very important.
Absolutely,
And for
absolutely.
everyone, if you're watching this and if you want to improve your coding style, we would recommend you to read that book, Clean Code by Robert Martin. And so fortunately, coincidentally, I'm actually reading that book, but not reading. I'm actually listening to the audiobook. And I know it's weird to listen to the education books, but uh, I don't have enough time to actually open the book and read. So every time I do some house chores or if I'm walking on a street, so currently I'm listening to a clean code audiobook. Difficult to imagine stuff when he mentioned about clean code, but that's a good. I mean, if you don't have enough time, you can do that.
Naveen, if I
Great.
can interrupt you,
Yes.
I'll add a self pitch, if I can call it my own marketing pitch. Um,
Yes, please go on.
if the Clean Code book by Robert Martin sounds like, I mean, first thing, it's a great book. It's a book I loved.
Yeah.
It's a book I read like maybe 10 times. Um, yeah. If that sounds too boring for you, then you can also check out my Clean Code course. So you can also
Oh,
search
you have a
for
clean code.
Clean Code.
Oh,
Yeah, it's something which I'm really passionate about. I've actually delivered multiple live seminars on
hmm.
like I like, and it's something which I'm really passionate about, and that's why I
Oh,
thought,
that's
okay,
amazing.
how do I like if somebody is not reading a book, how do I really take it to people who are not liking it, right? So it's not something clean code
Mhm.
or writing good code is not something which is scientific. I mean, it's not step one, do this, step two, step three, step four. There are a
Right.
lot of times it's confusing. A lot of times you don't know what to do, right? So I thought, okay, let's take 10-15 examples and let's
Mhm.
see how to refactor it to clean code. So that's why I thought I'll create that course. So we created a course where we pick up uh, certain bad examples and try to make it as good as I can. I mean, it will not be the best. I'm sure there will be a lot of people who will have feedback on how to improve it further. But I took to maybe from, let's say, 20 to 90, and probably people can take it from 90 to 100. So yeah, that's
Okay.
kind of how how it worked out.
Oh, that's good. I would surely check out that course. I have not seen that. Maybe I missed it. I will surely check it out. So clean code
So
is
if
very
you just
important. That's the emphasis.
absolutely, if you just Google, I mean, do a Udemy search for clean code Java, you should land on it.
Okay, sure. And we all know about in 21 minutes, so not a big deal to search. Great. So let's start with the questions, Ranga. There are so many questions here on DevOps and
Wow.
on cloud. So we'll not be directly jumping on those questions because we want to go in a step-by-step manner, right? First, you have to understand what is. So let's start with DevOps itself. So, Ranga, how will you explain DevOps to someone who is very new to the IT industry? Of course, when they get a job, they know there are different profiles in the company, but what they imagine is, I've interacted with most of the freshers, and they have this imagination. Working in software industry is all about coding, so they just imagine themselves as writing code, but they don't understand someone has to deploy it, someone has to test it. So how do you explain that to someone who's very fresh in the IT
Yeah,
market?
absolutely. Right. So I have been developing software for 2 decades now. Right. So during these 2 decades, um, I mean, let's put DevOps everything aside. Right. So like the fundamental concepts are very, very same, whether we are talking about Agile, DevOps, or Google calls it SRE. There are a lot of complex terms related to it. But at the end of everything, there are few very, very important things which is important when it comes to software. Um, One is feedback. Anything you do in software, or like you want immediate feedback, right? So let's take an example. I'm building a new application, right? Maybe my business has given some requirements to me. I'm building a new application. Uh, Business wants to quickly see the application. They don't want to wait for 1 year before they see an application live, right? So that's what we were doing in Waterfall. And that's where with Agile, we improved the feedback loop where we brought customer in and slowly made it faster. So customer gets feedback within, uh, let's say, a couple of weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks. Every sprint, customer gets feedback, and you would adapt, right? DevOps is on a different thing, the same feedback, right? So I'm writing code. Is it meeting coding guidelines? Is it meeting my security guidelines? Is it meeting, like, are all tests passing? Uh, so all these feedback you'd want to get as quickly as possible, right? So what do? You deploy it. You deploy it to your test environment, but you are not getting feedback from production users. What do you need to do next? You need to deploy it to production. So this cycle, whichever we go through, right, where you deploy to dev, QA stage, production, how do we do it faster and get quicker feedback? So if you look at big organizations, right, successful software organizations like Facebook, Amazon, Google, so all these companies actually do not make one release a week or one release a month. They make 100 releases a hour, right? So the quickest way to get feedback is by deploying software. So all the things which we do in software development, the way we can actually get quick feedback is by getting to the next step faster. And that's where automation comes in, right? You want to automate everything. Like if I want to get to the next step faster, I would want to automate as many steps as possible. That's whatever name you give it. Like we started with Agile, we call it DevOps, we call it SRE. The fundamental concept is the same. You want to automate, get very, very quick feedback. If you enable these two things, that's whatever term you give, Agile, DevOps, whatever you give, that's what we are doing. We want to enable getting quick feedback. In Agile, we brought in customer to get his feedback. In DevOps, we say we want to bring the operations team also into the team so that they know everything what is happening. So we get feedback. And one of the best ways to get quick feedback is to be in one team. Why do you want to be in two separate teams? A developer team or a tester team so you bring all people together to enable communication. So DevOps is process, communication, and tools, automation, and like enabling quick feedback. So I hope that summary works. So I just wanted to make it as less technical as possible. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
that's right.
how I can actually like think about DevOps or Agile. Most of the things in software, any improvement,
Yeah.
communication, like I call it communication, feedback, automation. Communication, feedback, automation. These are the three important things.
Oh, that's good. That was a great introduction to the DevOps. So just to reiterate, so what I understood from explanation is it's all about getting proper feedback from the customer because uh, I've seen this. When I was working, in fact, when I talk about agile, we do the same thing, and you mentioned that doesn't matter what you call it. Do you call it agile or DevOps? Ultimately, the aim is to build a proper project with the help of customer feedback because we don't want to make a project which customer don't like or don't want to use it or don't
Absolutely.
match with the requirements. It's not about how great software you make, but it's not no use. It's about making a software which a customer will be happy to use and it will solve all the requirements or it will it will match all the requirements of the customer. And for that, you need to get proper feedback. And there was a day, for everyone, since Ranga is there from a long time in the IT industry. I'm not that much. I have experience of 10 years, but I've seen this when I was getting into industry. That was a point where the shifting was happening actually from the old model to the new model. So the old model was you build a project, you have a team where you build a project, and then you have a separate team who will deploy the project. So maybe you're working on the project, and then your job is done. Your job is to make the project, and then the operation team is responsible to deploy the application on maybe test server or the production server. If something goes wrong, they will send you a mail and then say these are the bugs and these are the issues you have. Of course, they will not push things to the production without testing. So first it will go in testing. But the problem is there's a gap in between when you send the project, when they give you the feedback, and we are wasting that much of time. So if we work together, if the two teams are working together, as Ranga mentioned, it will improve. It will improve the communication, as you mentioned. Communication is very important. So it's a great tool we have, and now it's not just about people; it's also about the tools we are going to use. Uh, so due to this, the ecosystem is changing. The way you make project, the way you deploy project. I've seen some new softwares coming up. Just write the software. In fact, it's not new. It's there from around 3 to 4 years, but a lot of people are learning that now. You write a code, you simply click on a button, it directly deploys to the test server. So you can actually see everything is happening on the server, not the production server, but the test server. So that's amazing. And of course, you can push things directly to the production server, not recommended. There are pipelines using which you can just click a button, write a code, don't even compile it. Click on that button, it will directly compile, test, deploy directly to prod servers. I've seen that. Don't do that. Not a good way of deploying project, but we have an option.
I mean, you can do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if you are confident about your processes and if you are automating a lot of your tests and if you have really good system tests and regression tests which are automated, you can do that. And a lot of companies are focusing on doing that, right? But that's not suggested for 99.9% of the people out there who are still using, who depend on manual testing to assess the quality of the application, right? So when you eliminate manual testing, that's when you'd be able to automatically deploy software to production without any manual intervention, right?
So, but how about the performance? Let's say, I mean, of course, we can check for the code complexity or all the issues while testing. But how will you test the performance on the?
Yeah, you can automate load tests as well because you can easily deploy and you can run an automated load test. And see, it all boils down. Like I love the session that you had with Kaushik on microservices, right? So it all boils down to how big a functionality you are releasing down to production, right? So if I'm releasing a very big application to production, I'll be very cautious. I don't want to release it to production at all. But if I'm just building a small part, like if I'm building a lot of microservices and if I'm actually committing some small change in one microservice, then the impact on the entire system might not be as big if you have really good unit tests, integration tests. There are parts of the software where you need to be really, really cautious about deploying. But if you design it well, you'll have huge amounts of software which you can probably deploy to production a number of times a day.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. That's cool. Okay, with that, we have a question which is a bit different from what we're discussing, but interesting one. So this question is from Omkar, and the question is Spring Boot cloud developer versus DevOps developer, which is better?
Let me try to understand the question. So Spring Boot is the framework to build APIs or microservices, right? So cloud developer, DevOps developer. Oh, okay. So should I understand the question like, okay, I know Spring Boot right now. Should I go to cloud or DevOps?
No, I guess the question is he's already working with Spring Boot and the cloud.
Okay.
And should I go for DevOps developer? I guess that's the question.
Okay. If you talk about somebody who's working on Spring Boot today, right? So if you look at the opportunities that they have, definitely cloud is one of the most important opportunities that you have. I would not actually separate cloud and DevOps. I mean, DevOps, the tools like for example, Kubernetes or Docker, right? So those are the things which we call as DevOps. But ultimately, whenever you are doing DevOps, probably they'll be deployed to cloud, right? So I am using Docker to build a container. Where would I deploy the container to? I'll deploy it to cloud or on premises, wherever it is, right? So whether like let's say I would want to run a Kubernetes cluster, what would be the best place to run it today? I would say Google Cloud. Go there. Like if you have not created a free trial account, go create it, and you can easily launch up a Kubernetes cluster. So DevOps for me is actually part of the cloud, right? So it's like for me, why I'm saying that is because with DevOps we talk about automation being a very, very important part, right? And if you go to cloud, a lot of these things are already automated for you. So why do you want to create something on premise to run a build if you can do that in the cloud? Like you can take the code from on premises, you can build it on the cloud. So for me, it's kind of like if you know Spring Boot, I think the best approach you can start with is to learn cloud, right? So you can start learning probably AWS or Azure or Google Cloud, whichever one you like. And like the best recommendation is like a lot of times people would ask which cloud should I start with, right? AWS or Azure or DevOps, whichever like or Google Cloud, whichever one you are making use of in your enterprise, whichever one you think you'll be using in the next few months, that's the best cloud to start with. It does not matter if AWS is the most popular one today. The one you should choose should be the one which you have more opportunity to use in real time. And like DevOps, definitely. Once you learn cloud, you would learn a few services. Like if you learn Kubernetes, like if you learn Google Cloud, probably Kubernetes is one of the fundamental services that you'll be learning about. So you learn DevOps anyway. If you learn cloud, you need to learn continuous integration, continuous deployment. So all those things are related to DevOps. So yeah, like so cloud or DevOps should be great. The other things I would recommend probably for a Java developer, like for a Spring Boot developer who is really, really good, is full stack development. There are a lot of opportunities for full stack developers out there. So learn a bit of JavaScript, learn either React or Angular, go full stack, or I mean, like Naveen keeps discussing, right? So Naveen, like I see a lot of videos from Naveen on AI, machine learning, blockchain, right? Those are the opportunities that you have as well, data science. So those are like I think the most important opportunities out there. Go microservices, go cloud, go DevOps, or go like some of these new things like data science, like blockchain or AI, ML.
Oh, that's good. And based on that, I have a question for you, Ranga. Which is your favorite cloud service?
My favorite cloud service? Very difficult question, Naveen. I've actually worked with all three. So I've actually I'm a certified, like I have 3 certifications with AWS, I have 2 certifications with Google Cloud, and I've deployed n number of applications to Azure. And yeah, it's difficult to choose. I mean, I would rather kind of think of a cloud as like depending on the problem you're trying to solve, you would want to choose the right tool, right framework. It's the same with cloud as well. If you look at the fun, like at the base level, most of these clouds are very similar. They give different names to all these services, but fundamental level, you have compute, storage, like it's the same services across. However, if you look at, for example, AI or machine learning, I would definitely say Google Cloud has a big edge there. If you look at data warehouses, right? So I would definitely say Google Cloud has a big edge there as well. But if you look at how much market clouds have already captured, right? You cannot beat either AWS or Azure there. So yeah, it's I don't really have a favorite cloud. I wouldn't say that. It's more like I would choose for the specific project, which is the right cloud. That's the decision like I'm going by. And also, if you look at the enterprises today, right? So nobody just stops with one cloud. So today we are talking about multi-cloud, right? So earlier, a little while back, people say, okay, I'm on AWS. Let's get somehow all the things to AWS. But today, that's not how people think. People think, okay, I'm using AWS for X. Y is working better on Google Cloud. Let's go to Google Cloud. So yeah, enterprises are also thinking multi-cloud, like hybrid cloud, multi-cloud. So yeah, it's kind of a journey.
Yeah. So as you mentioned about hybrid cloud, can you just explore more on that? Why a company needs hybrid cloud?
Right. So I mean, let's take a simple company, right? A big enterprise with 100 developers, like let's say 100 employees, small one. They have a data center like on-premise, and they want to move to the cloud. right? So the first thing they would want to do is move some of their software to cloud. They don't want to set up everything in the cloud first. They would want to set up some certain things in the cloud. So they have a lot of applications deployed on premises, and they would have applications deployed in the cloud as well. Probably they chose AWS or Azure or Google Cloud, right? So this is what is called a hybrid cloud. It's nothing but having applications which are deployed in your data center and in cloud. And like obviously you want these applications to talk to each other. You'd want to maybe call APIs, or you'd want to, like, maybe in the cloud you have better services, so you'd want to make use of them and expose them to on-premise, or you'd want to have your data, like there might be security restrictions because of which your data should be in your data center only. It should not be in the cloud. So based on your specific restrictions, you design solutions where you'll make use of on-premises and cloud, and that's what we call as a hybrid cloud.
Oh, perfect. Perfect. That was a great introduction to DevOps and cloud. Now, let me just get someone on the screen so that they can ask question live. So all set, Ranga, they might ask any questions. Sometimes they even give
Okay.
bad words. We need to control that. So
It's
let me
been a
just
long
get.
time since I attended an interview. So this will be a good one.
Yes, yes. So let me get Arun on screen. Arun, you there? If you can get your camera on, because that's the first one I can see. So Arun, I'm adding to the stream. Make sure your camera is and mic is on. Okay, Arun is not there. Sandeep and Alok, if you're there, I'm adding you on the screen. Okay, no one is available. So by the time they join, let me just get another question.
Cool.
And this question is from Rishabh. And the question is, what are technologies you must know as a DevOps engineer?
Okay. So, yeah. So DevOps means a lot of different things, right? So to different people, DevOps means different things. And yeah, one of the favorite things I tell people is just do a Google for DevOps. And the shortest definition that would be present would be at least a page long, right? So that's what DevOps is. So it's so many different things that is very difficult to say. Like if you are not able to define it properly, what about the technologies? Like very, very, very difficult, right? So having said that, like there are specific kinds of tools which we use and call it DevOps, right? The most popular one is Docker, right? So like you have an application, you want to containerize it. Why do you like? So let's start with like maybe I have like I'll avoid going into too much depth. So I'll just say Docker, like Kubernetes, CI/CD tools. Like there are tons of CI/CD tools, right? So Jenkins, each of the clouds have their own specific implementations for these CI/CD tools, right? So like generally, if you look at these, and probably if you look at anything related to deployment, there are a lot of tools which will help you to do CD, continuous deployment, right? So those things. There are tools which help you to do release management. So these also can be coming in under the ambit of DevOps. There are tools which help you to monitor your production environment, right? So you'd want to get quick feedback. If production is down, you don't want a user to tell you that production is down. You want to know it automatically, right? You want monitoring, logging, tracing. You want to be able to debug problems fast. So all these elements are part of DevOps, and there are different tools for each of these kind of things, right? So, but if you look at the industry, if you talk DevOps, people would say Docker, Kubernetes. People would say probably Ansible, Terraform, Jenkins. Azure DevOps is one of, like, I miss Azure DevOps. Azure DevOps is something which I really love. So I think Azure DevOps is a very, very awesome technology. You can do DevOps in multiple clouds using Azure DevOps. So that's one thing I missed. Yeah, I think that's kind of the big picture around the different tools.
That's a long list. That's a long list.
Yeah, huge number of things, right? So it's like there's no definition. So you can keep adding whatever you want. Anything becomes popular. You see, one of the things that we do is if a tool becomes popular, somehow you'd want to tag it onto another popular thing, right? So if let's say some X is becoming popular, I want to become even more popular. I would say I'm a very big part of DevOps, right? So you become popular.
Right. True. That's great. Okay, so let me just get Alok on the screen. Alok, you there? You were there last time as well, Alok? You're on mute.
Yes, yes, yeah,
Hello.
yeah. Hi Ranga, hi Naveen. How are you?
Yeah, we are doing
Pretty
great.
good.
We are doing great.
How
Yeah.
are you?
I'm fine. I'm fine. So I have a question here. As cloud services are huge, so as part of microservices, which all services we need to focus on? Yeah, to build our microservices on.
Cool. I think that's a wonderful question, Alok. Yeah, it's see, when you have a microservices architecture, let's say on-premise, right, and you want to take your on microservices architecture and deploy it to production. Is that the right understanding of your question?
Yes, yes.
Right. So, like typically, like if you look at all the clouds, like one of the most popular ways to deploy your microservices today is containerizing it. Right. So you'd want to create a Docker image, and then you'd want to use a container orchestrator like Kubernetes. Right. So that's kind of the typical architecture which is used with the microservices architecture today. And if you look at cloud, almost all the cloud services offer some kind of managed service around Kubernetes. For example, Google offers Google Kubernetes Engine, or you also have Azure Kubernetes service, or you also have a Kubernetes service in AWS as well, right? So what do we call it? Elastic EKS, Elastic Service for Kubernetes. So all these have Kubernetes implementations. That's one of the options, right? So you have you go for Kubernetes. The other approach you can take is also the serverless approach. A lot of people are trying the serverless approach. Maybe one microservice you'd want to build it in a serverless approach and see how it works out in the specific cloud. So those would be the two things. But if you don't know anything about the cloud, and if you're trying to deploy your microservices to the cloud, then that would be a very, very tough journey, right? It's like one of the biggest things I believe is unless you know the fundamentals of something, you'll not be able to make the best use of it. So if I'm trying to deploy something to AWS, the first thing I would focus on is to understand AWS in depth, right? I would spend some time learning AWS, understanding all the things that it offers, and then I would probably move a small microservice out there, see how it works, and then I would actually think of I'll start from there. I'll take the feedback, incorporate it into my process, and get started. Does that answer your question?
Yes, yes, absolutely. So one more, can you please also provide some brief input about serverless functionality in cloud services? Because I
Sure.
mean, I heard for the first time. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So, see, whenever we talk about, like Naveen was talking about something earlier, right? You have a code, you just put a button, and it is deployed to production, right? So that is, uh, in essence, serverless, right? So as a programmer, I'm really good at writing code, right? But is that sufficient to take your application to production typically? No. You need to create a server. You need to install the right software on the server, and then you take and put your code to production, right? So there are a lot of things that you need to do before you'll be able to put any small piece of code to production. You want to build a Java application and put it to production, it might be 10 days, right? So, but if you look at serverless, the approach is you are a developer, you focus on your code, and you don't really worry about servers, right? So you don't worry about, let's say, the typical challenges, right? So when I'm, let's say, deploying a web application and I'm deploying it to an on-premise server, it has 10 users. Suddenly, one day, the startup became viral and it became really popular, and there are 100,000 people coming in. What happens? It goes down, right? It does not auto scale, right? You need to then go and say, okay, I would need to set up a load balancer. I would need to have this many. I need to manually manage all that stuff. And that's where serverless is really good, right? You just go create a simple function, and uh, everything is managed. If the server gets 10 requests, you'll be charged for that. If the server gets 100,000 requests, a million requests, you're built for it, but you don't really need to worry about the infrastructure. You just say, okay, I need to support a million users. That's all. So, like serverless is kind of a very different approach to building software, where you focus just on the code and you really don't. I mean, you don't focus as much. I mean, I don't want to say you don't focus at all, but you don't focus as much on scaling or availability or things like that. So you just focus on your code and not on your infrastructure, if I can put it that way.
Sure.
Does
Yeah,
that
that's
help?
answered my question. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks for being here, Alok.
Yeah. Thank you.
Naveen, I guess you are on mute.
Oh. So this is the problem with the virtual world. Uh, so does that answer this question as well? So Rupesh is asking the question on LinkedIn, what is serverless? Because I was focusing on somewhere else, I have not heard the answer.
Okay.
Does that
Yeah,
answer
I
that
think
as well?
it's basically all about worrying about code, focusing very less on infrastructure. So it makes it simple to deploy applications, but I mean, it's not easy to implement as well. I mean, people kind of use serverless as a buzzword as if saying, okay, I went serverless, I solved all my problems. You have a new set of problems. You just switched old problems for a new set. Any technology shift is like that, right? So there is
Right.
no magic bullet.
True. So with every new things, you have a trade-off. Get the best things out,
Absolutely.
and then you have to work on the drawbacks. True.
Exactly. And that's why we are paid, right? That's how we get our salary. So,
Right.
yeah, I mean, that's the challenge with being a technologist as well, right? So, I mean, if you look at most of the other jobs, you do the same thing again and again and again. And as a computer engineer, as a software guy, we have the opportunity to work with so many different things. We never get bored.
True. And that's the best thing. You enjoy exploring stuff. You enjoy upgrading stuff, and that's a problem. That's also a problem with few of the people I've talked to. At one point, they feel, once I complete this, I will not be learning anything new, and that's not the right approach for being in IT industry. You need to upgrade. You don't have a choice. Everyone is upgrading. Everyone is trying to find new solutions, and if you are not upgrading, then you. And it's not just about, you're not just competing with people. You're competing with AI as well. So in future, the work which you are doing will be done by computers or the softwares. So
Okay,
don't
let's
stay
not
where
get
you
there, Naveen. Let's not get there. I have very interesting opinions there,
are.
but let's not really get there.
Maybe we can have a separate debate one day.
Oh, that would be
Humans
awesome.
versus AI.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. I think that would be lovely. Yeah, I think
yeah,
just to get back to your point, right? So uh,
yeah.
enjoying what you do is very, very important, right? So I mean, you guys are like somebody who's doing a job. It's like 8 hours, 10 hours, maybe 12 hours a day on your job, right? So if you don't really enjoy it, you don't progress. And like the only way you can get better in the software world today is by keeping on learning. Right? That's the only way. You can't
Right.
uh, unless you want to be in a management track. That's also a great opportunity if you would want to be into management and things like leadership. Those are great opportunities as well. But if you want to remain a technique, I mean, if you want to remain a techie and if you want to see code or if you want to work with tools, right? So you have to keep getting better. There is no other way of out. And it's also a mentality, right? So uh, the moment you actually start exploring a lot, it becomes a habit. So I always I'm a great believer of forming habits, right? So I say like dedicate 30 minutes of your day for learning something new. It doesn't have to be technology. It can be even cycling if you want, right? So it can be anything, but
Yeah.
dedicate 30 minutes to do something which you have not done before, and you'd see that yeah, that makes a huge difference.
Right. That's true. It's a habit of learning new stuff. Yeah. Great
Absolutely.
point.
It's a very big habit, and once you have that habit, you will find it very difficult to leave it. You see something
Right.
new, okay, you want to know it. There's no way you'll leave it. So that becomes a problem after a little while. But
True.
I would rather have the second problem than the first one.
Right. True. So we also have Zaki, and Zaki, you are on screen. I hope you have a question.
Yes, sir. Oh, thank you, sir. Actually, this is a very great platform. Naveen, sir, I used to follow you. I learned so many things from
Oh,
you.
great.
And hello, Ranga, sir. So,
Hi, Zaki.
yeah, hi. So, actually, my question is as I am a developer, I have around 6 years of experience in Java developer. And in future, actually, I want to go for the good technology. So, I know the Spring and I just used to practice it. But how is it like a Spring Boot with cloud? And means how we can make like a good career for our future. So can you guide us?
Sure. So, Jackie, if I understand it right, you are actually working with Spring Boot applications right now. Are you building a REST API or web applications? How does it work?
Yeah, actually, I'm working on like some core Java things only, and it's like a
Okay.
ADF part. But Spring Boot means I'm learning. Actually, I used to follow your channel, so from there I am learning.
Thank you. Thank you for also check out Naveen's channel as well. Naveen's channel also has very, very good content on Spring Boot.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yes.
and yeah, coming back to your question, right? So you were talking about uh, I know like I know basic Java. What should I learn next, right? So that's the challenge, which that's a I guess one of the frequently asked questions, right? So if I look at at a high level, right, you have multiple opportunities. One is microservices. The second one is full stack development. The third one is to learn cloud or DevOps. The fourth one is to explore some of the new things that are happening outside, right? So data science. It's okay. When I put something in the new thing, it does not mean it's new today. It might have been like if I say AI, it's not new. It's been there for how many decades, Naveen? I mean 4 or 5 decades, right? So I'm just saying it's something which is still emerging, right? So AI, data sciences, machine learning, blockchain. These are some things which I put in the fourth category. So you can choose any one of these based on your specific interest. However, the most important thing is to stick to it. What I see a lot of people do is they pick one of them and they don't spend sufficient time on that, but they would be keeping on thinking whether I have made a right choice. That is very bad. Being ambiguous about what you want to do next is the worst state to be in. So, like it's like take some time off, like 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, 5 days, but choose one of them and stick to it for a long time. So you can choose either microservices or full stack, or you can choose cloud DevOps. You can do a certification in the cloud, or you can learn Docker, Kubernetes, or you can explore any of the new ones. But don't just keep switching between a lot of these, right? Switching does not help you at all. If you want to you have to pick one and become an expert at it. And once you are at that job, then you can think probably for the other things, because that becomes your day-to-day job. And then you can try and explore, okay, now I've learned microservices, I'm working in a microservices job. Okay, should I learn full stack development, or should I kind of work on the cloud? Or you can think of that. So that's the kind of the approach that I would suggest. Does that answer your question?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's very helpful, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Awesome.
And
Thanks,
sir,
Jackie.
one more question, sir. Just 2 minutes, sir. If I will learn about microservices and cloud, and in future if you want to crack some good companies interviews, so can you suggest means how can I do the preparation for like interview question and all?
Yeah. So that's the challenge, right? And Naveen, I'm the shameless self plug in here. Sorry. uh,
All yours, all yours.
See, that's one of the biggest challenges that I try to encounter in our courses, right? So, like, to be really serious, I mean, whenever we create a course, the goal uh, we have is not only to teach the subject, right? Teach the subject is important. You should know theoretically the entire subject. But I'm a great believer that you need to know how it will be used in a project. Uh, and yeah, so those are the two, like, and you should be able to answer anything that comes up in an interview. So you should know the theory knowledge, you should know interview skill, you should have the interviewing skills, and you should know how things are used in the project, in the real world project, not like a test Java class, right? And that's what we focus on when I'm creating a course. So whenever our team works on a course, those are the elements which we try to bring in, right? So that when you do a course, you are not just ready with the theoretical knowledge, you're not just ready with the practical knowledge, but you know how things are done in the project, and you know some of the basic stuff around in the interview. So those are the different things that we would actually add into most of our courses. And yeah, I think that's the kind of approach that should look for you, not only in 28 minutes, but wherever you are looking for your learning sources. I mean, Naveen, for example, or wherever you're looking for, look for people who deliver all those in the same place, right? Just having theoretical knowledge about something in today's practical world does not really help. Does that help?
Yes, sir.
Thanks,
Okay.
Jackie.
Yeah. Thanks, Ranga sir.
Great.
Thank you so much, Naveen sir, for such a great
Yeah, thank you,
platform, sir.
Zaki.
Yeah,
In
sir.
fact, thank you for
Have a
the
great day.
questions. Every time we get a question like this, not just you, everyone else who have the same question, but sometimes we don't understand, or sometimes we don't even know that we have those questions. So thank you so much for coming live and asking this type of questions. Thank you so much, Zaki.
Yeah. Thank you
In
so
fact,
much.
everyone who joined the sessions.
I mean, I'm like, this is seriously good technology that you have, man. It's you are able to
Yeah,
bring people live. Like that's awesome. I mean, I've never been, session
yeah, I'm
where people are
enjoying this.
directly asking them. Yeah, it's
Yeah, I'm
it's
enjoying
a lot of
this.
fun.
Yeah, true. In fact, so this is the fourth time I'm doing this. I'm still learning this tool, so that's why
Oh,
I'm looking at two screens. It's difficult to manage the software's streaming. I need to also check the health of the streaming, and then look at the participants or look at the guest in the backstage. So yeah, but I will get used to it. So maybe after 10, 12 sessions, it will be like I was still sitting like this and enjoying all the content, just clicking a button here and there. But till that point, I have to be very constant. I have to very focused on everything, the questions also, and that's why the moment you answer a question, I take my time here to manage it. I don't even listen to some of your answers. Sorry for that, but I'm
no, no,
trying
no.
to
I
learn
mean,
this tool,
I
and
think
then
I think you are doing an amazing job, man. It's like, yeah, it's amazing tool, and I know how difficult it is to like, uh, yeah, on your channel going live. If it was my channel, probably there would be 10 questions. But on your channel, choosing between the questions itself is, I know, it would be an amazingly tough job.
right, it's time for you to also focus on your YouTube channel.
Oh, do you think so?
Maybe people are demanding. There's a demand of videos from
Okay,
your channel.
hopefully.
Okay, with that, we have another question from Bhaskar. Bhaskar is asking this question multiple times, so let's take it. It's very
Okay.
specific to a company, I guess. So Bhaskar says, "What's a cloud infrastructure services? I got mail from Capgemini as a fresher."
Okay. Cloud infrastructure services.
Services.
Okay.
I sure these terms keep changes from company to company. Some company uses
Yeah,
different terms.
probably. Like I think probably he means infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, and software as a service. Probably something of that kind. See, whenever you have applications, right? So what we are doing in the data center is we create a server. Uh, Maybe we will install Java, we'll install Tomcat, and you would want to run your application there. Or like if you're using something like Spring Boot, you would just create a jar and you can directly run it. You don't need a Tomcat because Tomcat is embedded, right? So let's say you are doing that on premise. When you go to the cloud, you have multiple options. One is do the same thing. You can provision a cloud server. You can install Java on the server. I mean, in the cloud, we call it virtual machine. It's no longer a server anymore. So you create a virtual machine, you install Java, you install your software, run it, right? So that's called infrastructure as a service, where you are just doing the same thing you are doing like every day, day in, day out in your data center. You just do that in the cloud. However, cloud offers a number of other options. For example, if you are using AWS offers something called Elastic Beanstalk. Or if you're using GCP, Google Cloud Platform, you would have something called App Engine. Or if you're using Azure, Azure has something called Azure Web Apps. What these tools allow you to do is to just give it a jar. All that you need to say to these tools is, hey, take this jar. I would want to run it. And they do everything that is needed to run the jar and also provide all the services around it, right? So it's not just about running one instance of it, but you would want to be able to probably auto scale based on load. Like if I have 10 users now and it increases to 1,000 and comes back to 10, I would want the right amount of servers, right amount of instances running, right? All those things are taken care of by your service, and that's why these are called managed services. And this is what is called platform as a service, right? So we started with infrastructure as a service. This is platform as a service, and like a lot of times you would have made use of software as a service, right? So Google Docs, for example, is a great example of software as a service, where you don't worry about where the server is running. You just go make use of it, create your document, store it, share it with somebody, and use it. So yeah, infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, and like the last one is what did I call it? We
Function as
have been here
service.
for 1 hour, so my brain has started freezing, I guess. I'm
True.
just joking. Yeah, the last one is software
Yeah.
as service. Thanks, Naveen.
Right. Right. Great. So a lot of people, I mean, everyone is happy with this session, the way it is going on. So that's a great
Awesome.
thing. I'm just getting those things on the screen. We have another question about Oracle Cloud, how good that is. I've never used it, so I'm not sure.
Yeah, same with me. I've attended a few conferences with Oracle Cloud, but I've never got the chance to explore it. I can definitely say it's not as popular as the other three clouds, but Oracle probably offers very different services from the traditional clouds. I mean, I'm not an expert, so let's not even go there. So it's like
Right.
probably Oracle is focused more on infrastructure. Maybe that's where they're focusing on. I'm not sure.
Yeah, same here, same here. Okay. So I will take Kamesh on screen if the camera is on. Yeah, Kamesh is there. I hope I'm pronouncing your name properly. So by the time I get Kamesh on screen, we have another question from Shakir vlog. Naveen sir, I have watched your 7 hours Java video. It's completed. I hope that's the correct spelling. Autocorrect some work sometime. What next? There's so many things to learn. So Ranga, you want to answer this after Core Java. So that's this Core Java video is talking about. What should the next step?
Now, see, if you have loved the Naveen style of delivering content, what I would recommend you to do is to get into advanced stuff using Naveen's channel. Like go to Telusko, search for Spring Boot, learn Spring Boot, get started with it. Right. So learn that. I think Spring Boot is a very, very important thing. To learn. So do that well, and then think about what to do next.
Yeah.
Hi Naveen, hi
Right.
Ranga, good evening.
Hey, hi,
I'm very
Kamesh. In
glad
fact,
to
we'll start with that. I just have sorry to interrupt. I just want to put that something in that old question or the other question. So since Ranga mentioned about Spring Boot, right? So Spring Boot is actually very important, not just for the web projects or the enterprise projects. Currently, I'm working on blockchain with the help of Coda platform. Even that supports and that works on Java. And the template which you get is Spring Boot template. So initially, I was working on Hyperledger Fabric. I was supposed to learn new language, new frameworks. When I looked at Coda, hey, it's same thing. You know, I've worked on multiple projects. Now I can easily get used to it. So that's one reason why you should learn Spring Boot after Core Java.
Absolutely, Naveen. I think, see, there are a lot of naysayers, right? So people would say Java is outdated, Spring Boot is outdated. There would be new technologies which would be replacing it. I've been hearing it. Nothing is happening. I mean, as a percentage, the usage of Java, the usage of Spring Boot is going down, but it's not still substantial enough. The great thing I would say is Java with Java 8 made a big progress, right? So huge steps forward with functional programming. And with modularity in Java 9, that was another big step with containerization, creating lightweight Java images. And I think recent versions of Java and recent version of Spring Boot focused extensively on containerization and containerization and Kubernetes, like getting everything ready for Kubernetes, so to speak. And that's the direction which architecture world is heading. And yeah, there are advantages when you go for other languages, but if you are building an enterprise project with huge lines of code, I would say Java any day.
Right. Sorry, Kamesh, for keep you waiting.
Yeah, no
just
problem.
wanted to finish that question.
Yeah, good evening, Ranga, and good evening, Naveen.
Hi, Kamesh.
I'm very glad to see you guys. Yeah. Just I want to know, I need some inputs about DevSecOps. I'm in cloud from past 10 years, like cloud and operations. Now I can hearing this DevSecOps. So these DevOps tools, how they are achieving in DevSecOps. So your inputs will help too.
Sure, Kamesh. First of all, I have to say I'm not an expert at DevSecOps. I've heard the term. I know what it is. Okay, I think I know what it is, but you cannot make me commit on this. So I'm not implementing it anyway, right? So see, as I was explaining earlier, everything is about getting feedback early, right? So earlier we called it agile DevOps. I mean, there are different elements which we bring in and we give it a new name. So DevOps is where we brought the operations and developers team together, and DevSecOps is where we also bring the security team, right? So when you deploy any application to production, security is very, very important, right? So you don't want, like, especially as we go towards the cloud, security becomes even more difficult, or even more important. It becomes easier, but more important. The reason it becomes important is because, let's say I have auto scaling set up on my server, right? So what is auto scaling? I have 10 users, 100 more come in, I would want to spin up a new instance. 100 more come in, I would want to spin up a new instance, and we'd want to go down. If you have such kind of auto scaling instance there, and let's say somebody writes a script to call your server 1,000,000 times, what would happen? Everything blows up, right? So like the server will, I mean, the application would continue to work fine because you are auto scaling scales your application up, unless you have set some limit. But at the end, you'd see your bill goes up, right? So you'd pay a lot. And that's why security is very, 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 very important when it comes to the cloud. And like if you look at security, there are different elements to it, right? So one is static analysis. The other one is dynamic, right? Runtime. Once you have an application deployed, you'd want to test it on your environment, right? So you have hackers, ethical hacking. You'd want to do penetration testing. So there are different elements that you'd want to do. Static analysis also can be done. You can analyze the code. You can actually do a static analysis, like you can run automated tools on your environment to check if there are any. So DevSecOps, and you have a team which does this as well, right? You have a team which focuses on these elements. So DevSecOps is bringing everybody together so that you see security as a part of your development. Just like you saw operations as the part of development, you'd want to see security also as part of your cycle and not a separate thing which is an add-on at the end of the life cycle of the application. So for me, it's just the mentality, right? So you have the mentality where security is something I don't focus at the end of the project, but it should be something which I focus on from the day one. If I'm setting up a continuous integration pipeline, I want to ensure that a security analyzer is part of my chain. If I am like running some tests, like if I'm giving it to testing, I would also want to do some kind of penetration testing, or I would want to do some kind of like security testing. So that's the like mindset change where you also bring security into the into the element, and it as I said, it's becoming much more important as we go towards the cloud. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, thanks for your inputs. Thank you, Naveen. Thank you, Ranga. Yeah,
thanks, Kamesh. Naveen.
Oh, sorry. Again, I don't know why I'm going on mute. So Ranga, it's already been 1 hour. I just hope you have some few more minutes to interact. And I hope
Naveen,
you're not tired.
I have as much time as you'd want. So I'm really loving this. So yeah, if you want to do it for 10 hours, you can do that. I'm just kidding.
Sure. Oh, great. Provided my Mac supports that much of bandwidth. Maybe we will not get tired. My computer will get tired.
I know. I'm just kidding. It's just. I mean, it's not something I do often, right? So I mean, you know that I'm not a on-camera person at all. So I doubt if any of even people who are familiar with In28Minutes, I doubt if they would have seen me before, except for my image on the course logos. So it's like, yeah, and I see it's like it is a different thing. It's like I'm liking it. So yeah. I mean, how much of time you have? Let's break it down.
Yeah, great. In fact, let's see how much I can take, how much energy I have.
Okay.
So let's see. Let me get another guest, Sanvi Mishra, and here we go.
Good evening.
Hey, hi, Sanvi.
Good evening, Ranga sir.
Hi, Sanvi.
Hey, hi, good evening.
Sir, my question is, as a refresher in programming language, which language is recommended beneficial for future?
Cool. Great question, Sanvi. First of all, you don't need to call me sir, right? So you can just call me Ranga. And second, your question. It's great to see that at your young age, you are thinking about programming. That's awesome. Think about what you enjoy doing, right? So do you like building web applications, or do you like building?
I'm
Do you want to?
interested in software development.
Okay. So what kind of software do you want to build? Feel free to just say no if you have no details about it. So what kind of software do you
No,
want?
I want to become like developing androids more.
So you want to develop mobile applications, if I understand
Yes.
that right. Awesome. That's an awesome approach to take. See, if you are interested in developing mobile applications, I think there are a lot of approaches. And probably I'm not the right person to answer that. I'm not an expert at mobile development. Naveen, do you want to add in? I can take a first jab at the answer, and probably you can add on,
Sure.
based on your if you want to build mobile applications today, Android is something you are already aware of, right? So there are also other frameworks. Like if you build an Android application, we call it native application, or it's specific to your specific mobile and it does not work on iPhone. So if you want to develop applications for iPhone, you can, what's the language, Naveen? C++ or what do they call it?
For which one? For Java?
For iPhone?
For iPhone, it is Swift.
Swift. And also you have other options like Gautam. Yeah, you have brought it up. Flutter, Ionic. So those are a couple of alternatives that you have to develop. I think Flutter is used to develop cross-platform mobile applications. Is that right, Naveen?
Right.
So yeah, you have multiple options to choose from. One of the most important things is try to think for a little while which of these routes I would want to go to, but choose one of them and develop something there. It does not help you if you keep thinking about what to choose and don't do anything afterwards. Naveen, do you have anything to add?
Yes, I've not heard the last part, but yes, just want to add. So you have so mobile. You can go with Android or iOS or both. The first approach I would recommend you to start with is Android, and purely Android native. Maybe working on Android Studio with Java or Kotlin. Kotlin becomes the official language, so you can use Kotlin and Android Studio. Make the native apps. The next approach would be learn Flutter for the cross-platform. So there's a debate between should we use React Native or Flutter. You can choose any of it because you want to get started with learning. So I would say Flutter. And then once you know Flutter, try making applications, and because it's not just about learning, it's also about implementation. Build projects. Once you build a project for Android, then move towards iOS. But again, it will take some time. It's not that you will do it in 1 week or second week you'll be doing projects. Maybe think of a timeline of 1 year. In 1 year, you want to be a good Android developer or a good mobile application developer for both Android or iOS. So go step by step and go slowly. Don't rush. Don't look for shortcuts. In fact, I have seen a lot of people, they try to learn from crash courses. Don't do that. Go for full course. And that's how you do it. But don't just learn, also implement. Because I have learned so many things in my life, I don't remember everything because I have not implemented everything. If I have learned, let's say 100 things, I remember only 2 or 3 because that's what I'm working on. Okay, so it's a great thing that you're learning very early, but make sure that you also implement. Don't just keep learning. I hope that answers your question, Sanvi.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you so much, Sanvi, for coming on live. Yeah. And that's the haircut photo you have. That's great.
Sorry, I didn't get that. Naveen.
Sorry, the DP for Sanvi was great. When she... Okay. Let me get another guest.
Cool.
Okay, so I'm getting some questions on Yogesh. Yogesh, I missed your question. I can see you are saying you did super chat, but the problem is, the questions are going so fast, difficult to keep a track. So if you have a question, Yogesh, again, type it. I will check it out. So let me get another guest who is Madhusudan. Hey, hi.
Both of you know me. Ranga also know me.
Hi, Madhusudan. How are you?
So we can have a friendly chat here.
No, basically, see, I was about to ask a question about cloud-related things, but looking into the discussion of other members, it seems that
Yeah.
students are lots of confused because they don't know exactly where to go, which technology to go on. Everyone asks about what to learn, Spring Boot, cloud, and that stuff. Okay, but as a trainer, as a teacher, my concerns are mostly with the student-related things because technology,
Okay.
with the documentation, with course, you can learn. Okay, there needs to be someone who guides. So I request Ranga and Naveen, both of you, that if possible you can make some videos about the roadmap of the technologies, how they
Right.
can go for. That is the
Yeah.
question, because
That's a new
Sure.
trend, right, Madhusudan? We for every stream we are saying create a roadmap. Uh, from a few years back, I was not even knowing this term roadmap, and now we have so many videos online on YouTube. Roadmap to be a machine learning engineer. Roadmap for blockchain. A new word, yeah. But
uh,
yeah, surely that's a good thing we should do.
basically
Make
what students don't want to search for those things, they want ready-made answers.
right.
When you say even Ranga search the technology clean code, no one will go for the clean code course. Everyone wants to
Right.
learn Spring Cloud. You don't want to
Absolutely.
refactor code.
Absolutely.
True,
Yeah.
true.
It's a
No one
challenge,
wants to
right?
take a
So
hard way.
one of the most difficult decisions that you need to like it's I mean it's I think an everyday challenge that we face, right? So I face that challenge today, right? So what course should I create next? Naveen would be thinking about what video should I create next, what should I learn next, and that's normal, right? Being in a confused state is normal for a human being. But I think the way you need to think is there should be confused time and there should be productive time. So be confused, choose something, learn it. So that's your productive time. And again, be confused, choose something, learn. Unless you
Take
do that
action.
cycle.
At
So for
least
me,
take actions. At least take actions.
exactly. So it's all
Take
about being
action.
confused is okay, but decide on one and like spend some time deciding, right? So if you look at Naveen, right, for example, when he creates the next video, he would be thinking about, okay, what should I do the next video? What
Even
topic
he
should I
has
create
not
it on?
uploaded video from last year.
Maybe he's doing some more wonderful things, which you will be seeing very soon.
He might be thinking
Okay.
about blockchain technology.
Okay.
Let,
So
see,
he
let,
like
let me take it out. Let me take it out. Let me take it out. So I want to.
sorry, Naveen,
I
I
know
didn't expect this.
yeah,
Just
from
one
last one
personal question.
year. Yeah.
One personal question to Ranga sir. Uh,
Yes. Yes.
Naveen sir is active on Instagram. Hitesh is also active. But you and Kaushik sir both are not active on Instagram, on Twitter. Is it because of your workload? Because you two seems to be working on an industry level. So that's what might be possible reason.
No, I don't think it's about the workload. I think it's more the kind of people we are. It's if you see, like, I'm not even on camera, right? So this is one of the first few times I'm on a camera where somebody can actually watch me, right? So most of my courses don't even have me on camera. So I'm kind of camera shy, and Instagram is all about pictures, photos, and yeah, for me, somehow that doesn't seem to be a
Yes.
platform where
Agree, totally
I
agree.
would be comfortable with it, right? So it's more that. Also, uh, I think channels are just a way. I mean, what social channels you are making use of are just the way you are, the things which you are comfortable with. And for me, I hardly visit Instagram at all. Uh, so wherever I am, probably are the places where I visit a lot, and wherever I'm not is probably things which I don't go at all.
Lots of
In
thanks, and
fact,
think about the one thing I requested you, both of you. That will be
yeah,
huge
sure,
impact on the students.
Sure.
sure. So
I
I just
think
want to add two things here.
please go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry
I'll
for
talk after
interrupting,
you
but
add it down, Naveen.
yeah, sure. So two things I want to talk about. The first one about the Ranga facing camera. So I remember when we met personally, while I was exiting or while I was going, so we took a selfie. This was the first time my mobile camera crashed. I mean, the app crashed. I don't know what went wrong. I was using my iPhone. Normally, it doesn't happen on the iPhones. And we took a selfie. The photo was not coming. I don't know if you remember, Ranga. So I was on my scooty. we took selfie, and then I searched for the photo, but it was not there. Maybe you
Yeah.
hack all the world's camera not to capture you, or maybe after going live, the video will be disappeared automatically. So I'm not sure if you hate that. Second, about the
my wife keeps complaining that I don't take sufficient number of photos with her. So maybe I'll save a few more for her.
Sure. And second, about I'm not making videos on YouTube. Yes, I can see a lot of complaints on different platforms when you're going to upload the next video. It's not that I'm not uploading videos, but the frequency is very low. So normally I used to upload one video per day 2 years back, and now I'm not even uploading one video per week. So yeah, I am working on something which is taking a lot of time. So I was exploring blockchain from last 2 years. The only problem is, as Ranga mentioned, you need to focus on one thing, and if you switch between multiple things, it's very difficult. And that was happening. I was doing a corporate training on Java. I was learning blockchain. I was making project on different technologies. I was making videos on different technologies. And suddenly, when everything came together, I was getting confused what to focus next. And context switching takes time.
That happens.
So what I did, I took a lot of time. I took enough time to learn new technologies, and probably from after 1 or 2 weeks, you will be seeing at least one video in 2 days. Probably. Okay, I'm trying that. Let's see.
Yes.
And thank you, Madhusudan, for motivating again.
And to add on, Naveen, just to add on, Naveen, I think you are doing a wonderful thing in bringing people like Kaushik, for example, right? He's an expert on microservices. I can tell that. So things like this are things you are doing, right? You have a great reach. And I think that's a wonderful thing that you are doing. In addition to creating content, you are using your reach to bring people on who might give additional inputs to people who are watching your channel. So that's, I think, an amazing thing that you are doing. And second thing is, again, a shameless self plug, if I can do that. Madhusudan, you are talking about roadmaps, right? So what I do is every 2 years, I create a roadmap video. So like what I call it is the in 28 minutes roadmap, or I call it the in 28 minutes learning path.
And that's
exactly. Yeah. So there is a in 28 minutes learning path which I've created. If you just do a Google for it, you would be going to a lot of learning path videos. And like I've been lazy. I've not updated them last year. So the videos which you'd be watching are
even the whole world stopped from last year. So no complaint, and no complaint to Naveen sir as well. But lots of thanks. You think update, and probably I am eager to view your videos on that.
Sure, I can promise you that end of this year there would be new videos. Like the roadmaps would be completely updated. I think things like cloud are important, and I have to have my roadmaps updated to reflect that. So
even I was about to question about cloud, but looking into the question of others, I forget what I was about to ask. Anyway, probably next time I will ask you on a LinkedIn.
Thanks, Madhusudan.
Sure.
Thank you, Naveen. Thank you, Ranga.
Yeah.
Thank you.
In fact, Ranga, it's actually difficult to get a resourceful person on the video call or on YouTube. So thankfully, you accepted my invitation. Thankfully, Kaushik accepted the invitation. Not everyone want to come on screen and talk about, but I'm trying my best. In fact, this is I'm saying this on platform. If you feel that you are good with some technology and if you want to share your knowledge, please ping me on LinkedIn. I want resourceful person so that everyone on this platform will be get some help, and if they have any questions, they can answer that. You don't have to be expert
Naveen, just to add on.
Yeah.
Just to add on, anytime you don't find anybody, just call me.
Sure. Yeah, that would be great. No, I mean, of course, I will look at your courses and I will see, hey, this is what Ranga is expert. Let's get him on the call. And you don't even have to be expert if you want to talk about something. You can simply say, hey, I'm not sure about this one. So if you think you are working on Android, if you're working on Android, and if you think, hey, I can say something about Android, I can answer those questions. Example, we don't work on Android. So Ranga and even I was not able to answer some of the questions because we don't work on those technologies. If someone is working on Android and they want to answer, it will be great. So if you want to be online as a resource person, ping me on LinkedIn, and I will be very happy to get you online so that we can answer, we can help other people.
I was watching
And
the
Ranga,
live
if you
session
know
with
someone,
Kaushik,
yeah,
and Kaushik was saying I'm not an expert on like that. He was not an expert on microservices, right? If he does not feel he's not an expert on microservices, then probably nobody's an expert on anything, right? So it's like that, right?
right.
It's more like, yeah, it's if you know the boundaries of what you know and what you don't know, I think that in itself is a great thing, right? It's and like as people say, the more you know, the more you don't know. So yeah,
True.
it's you never feel an expert. So if you know something a little well, probably you should ping Naveen.
True. And if you ping me, I will not reply. So it's actually not. I'm trying to reply as much as possible, but it's very difficult.
Yeah,
But
Naveen,
still,
I
yeah,
know.
you can ping and.
I mean, I know, like with my subscriber count on YouTube, it's difficult to answer comments. And with your subscriber count, I can't even imagine. Probably you should recruit a team to answer comments.
Yeah, that should be my next approach. Right. So we have a question from Yogesh from a long time on this screen. Let's finish that. So I'm learning Java, and when I have to start DSA. So when I have to, okay. So when you want to, I mean, what's the right time to start DSA? That's the question. Data structures and algorithms.
Okay, as soon as you are comfortable with programming with Java, if you know how to write a simple Java program, if you know how to use object-oriented programming, if you know what is inheritance, like what is interface, as soon as you know the basics of Java, get started with data structures and algorithms. I think you can. There are tons of resources. I won't recommend one of them, but I would say go to go to YouTube. Like there are a lot of videos from Stanford and things like that, right? So really good courses on data structures and algorithms are available online. Try and spend a few hours. Like try and go and explore first. The first day, probably watch 8, 10, 12, 30 courses, right? Try and see what works for you. What is the thing you like? Who do you like learning? Find that out and stick to it.
Right.
And spend a few days learning. So I think that's the way I would suggest. Naveen, do you want to add something?
No, that's perfect. That's perfect. It's about finding the right resource first. And when you get the right resource, just continue that and you will learn what you want to.
But you are absolutely, I mean, I love the fact that you are asking about data structure and algorithms, because that's very important. Especially, I mean, probably if you want to get into IT services, not so important. But if you are looking to get into a product company, definitely data structures and algorithms are the fundamentals, and you need to be an expert.
Even for the interviews is very important nowadays.
Okay.
The job interviews.
It's been a long time since I had. Okay.
True, right. So we have another question from Puneet, very technical. I'm not sure if this is something we can answer, but we can try. Question is, what's the best way of handling exception when you have 100 of microservices? We should not use add control advice. Is this way right? So what's the best way if we have 100 of services?
Cool. I think that's a very good question. I read the name somewhere. Probably I would have answered a question from you or something of that kind. Yeah, looking at exception handling, right? So exception handling can be at multiple levels, right? So there is exception handling at the method level, try catch, exception handling at like multiple class level. If you're using Spring, you'd go for add controller advice. So you would say add controller advice, you would define what to do when an exception happens. And when that kind of exception happens, you'd be able to react to it and probably send user to a error page. So that's at the microservice level. At the microservice level, you can use add controller advice. So each of the individual microservices should have something which is central defined to handle exceptions. But where do you call microservice from? Typically, whenever we talk about microservices architecture, you would have something like an API gateway, right? So if that's another level where you can have your probably if the user is not, probably security is typically implemented. Like some of the common features around microservices, you would implement it in the API gateway. If a user, like if there is no proper token, right? So you'd want to reject that request. That's another kind of exception handling. So you get a request, you are not able to handle it at that level. So that's where API gateways come into picture. So it depends on what kind of exception handling that you are doing. If you go one level further, you also have circuit breakers. Kaushik was talking about circuit breakers in the last session as well. So circuit breaker is basically, let's say I'm a microservice and I'm calling another microservice, and I see that I called 100 times, and all the 100 times I'm getting a error response. I can keep sending 1,000 more requests. What would happen if the other microservice is in trouble already? By sending it 1,000 more requests, I'm sending it into more trouble. I'm just causing it to fail, right? So if it's getting called from 100 other microservices, so it becomes very, very difficult to for that microservice to handle. And that's where we can actually say, okay, I'm getting a lot of false responses from this service. What I would do is I would not send a few requests for a few minutes, and I'll check after a minute or so if it's up and running. That's where circuit breakers come into picture. So depending on what you are trying to do, exceptions can be handled at multiple levels, starting at your method level, your application or the microservice level, a collection of microservices level at my API gateway, and also like multiple microservices at this circuit breaker level. I hope that answers your question. Probably I made it much more complex than it has to be.
That was perfect. At least I understood what you're talking about. I'm not sure if Puneet got the answer. Puneet, if you got the answer, you can comment here in the chat window. Okay, great. So we got another question, another guest. Let me get Sandeep on screen.
Perfect.
Hey, hi, Sandeep.
Hello, Naveen sir. Hello, Ranga sir. Good evening, sir.
Hi, Sandeep.
Sir, I want to bit digress from the topic, sir. I want to ask the question for freshers as well. Like, sir, there's a huge dilemma between freshers that whether we should focus on emerging tech or we should focus on the traditional path, like learning data structures or basic traditional path, right? So, would you suggest some thing like whether we should learn new techs or we should follow the traditional things?
Cool. I think that's a great question, Sandeep, right? So that's, again, it's the confusion state, right? We don't know what we want to learn because there are so many things that you can learn. And I would say you should be able to judge your individual level as a programmer. So you would have spent some time programming. Initially, let's say you are trying to learn Java or Python, right? You would have spent some time learning Java, learning Python. You'd be able to judge whether you are really good or like whether you're really like doing high level programming, playing with data structures, playing with algorithms. Is that something which interests you? Or is building a web application, is building a mobile application, is that what you'd want to interest you, right? So that's where the choice really starts, right? So what are you liking to build? And if you like to build, like if you like data structures, if you like algorithms, if you want to go deep in there, then that's awesome. Just go, like probably you can learn DSA and then go into lead code, probably solve a lot of problems, become an expert on it. And that's awesome skill to have. Today, there are not sufficient people who are experts on data structures and algorithms. Or you can go the other route. So you can say, the great thing is either decision you make, at the end, you might need to learn some framework or the other, right? So people don't work at the language level itself. Even if you go to a product company, probably they'll be making use of the same framework. But data structures and algorithms are very difficult to learn. Frameworks are easier to learn. So if you are interested in programming, go data structures, algorithms, learn it perfectly, learn frameworks, it would be very easy. It will not be like Spring Boot, or if you find the right person to learn from, I don't think learning Spring Boot, JPA, Hibernate, or any of the frameworks, right? So if you go to Python, Django, or if you want to learn Android, or frameworks are easy to learn. Like it's just probably a effort of 2 to 4 weeks, like to learn them. To gain real expertise with them will take a little while. But if you think about programming or data structures or algorithms, these are not 1 month pursuits. These are things which you need to spend consistent effort every day for a long duration before you'll be able to call yourself an expert on that. So yeah, it's depending on the time you have, depending on your expertise, depending on your confidence levels. These are the different things. There is no answer where I can say, hey, everybody has to go that route, right? There is nothing like that. It's your context, which is very, very important before you choose what you want to do. If you are really good at programming, go ahead, learn data structures, algorithms. If you think you are good enough or you are doubtful, start with learning frameworks, build something, and probably then you can switch towards data structure and algorithms based on your job search needs. Naveen, do you have anything to add?
Yes. No, that's it. That's it. It was a great answer. So Sandeep, you got the thing, right? What the
Yes, sir.
steps?
Yes.
Thanks, Sandeep.
Oh, perfect. Right. In fact, I should make a video, or maybe Ranga, you should make a video on lead code. In fact, Kaushik is
Okay.
already doing that.
Yeah, I think Kaushik is the expert there. I would
Yeah.
see. I have a lot of experience with frameworks, programming. I call myself a good programmer, but I'm not an expert on data structures. I'm not an expert on algorithms. I have like it's been almost like the last time I thought about algorithms was in my final year college exam, right? So that's the last time.
Oh, okay.
After that, I mean, you make use of data structures, right? So you create a
Yeah.
object, right? Object structure, but it's all basic stuff. If I'm just doing day-to-day Java programming, building web applications, building REST API, hardly you would need to make the like. What was the last time I wrote a real algorithm? What was the last time I built like a proper data structure? Like probably
Right.
trying to implement a hash code function, right? So like
Yeah.
writing the real logic for hash code, not reusing the generator to generate it, right? So those kind of things
Right.
we do very rarely these days.
Right. But what I feel, every time you work on a project, first you mentally create an algorithm in your mind, right? So, example, before code, as an expert programmer, so even before touching the keyboard, you have steps in your mind, but not in a coding way, but in a algorithm way. Okay,
Design.
this is what have to be done. This is what have to be done, and that thing takes time. So, if someone is not learning algorithm in the first go itself, they will not be able to code. So since we have learned that in our college, since you have experience of algorithms, it is easy for you to get that stuff in your mind.
Yeah, that's possible.
Yeah.
I think these algorithms and design, like formulating how to design a solution, right? So that's a skill which you build over time. It's not something which you would be able to get in a day, right? It's not like coding. Like design is something where
Right.
you need to look at 100 systems, see how they are designed, and then a picture builds in your mind, and then you would go and do it, right? Or you can explore open source projects, or you can you can talk to your friends. So that's that's a big challenge, right? So whenever we would want to design a course or a video, we would want to make sure that the design in there is really, really good. We are doing the right things in the right place, because once we create something, the same thing will be followed by hundreds of people.
Perfect. 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 Let me just get Ganesh. Hey, hi, Ganesh.
Yeah, hi both of you.
Hi, Ganesh.
Hi Naveen, hi
Yeah.
Ranga. Naveen, you done a great job to see you on this platform like a Kaushik and Ranga, because of
Oh, thank you so
we in the
much.
last 10 years we just see the pictures of only on a white background for the Kaushik and Ranga also. But these guys are like legends for the every student. Uh, so thank you very much.
Thank you,
So
Ganesh.
Naveen and Ranga, I have learned so many courses for yours, like a Naveen Pythons and Ranga, you are like a microservices, full stacks, like Apache Camel, and every courses I have done in 20 minutes in a Udemy. I have get the certificates also on the Udemy also, but and lots of things I have learned from you guys. So thank you very much. And my questions to Ranga, like in a cloud developer, cloud architecture, and any the move on to the Java to the cloud developers and cloud engineers. Anything when you go on to the any business organization or we any company, the most probably we need to face on when you as a cloud architecture or a cloud developer. The first things to ask any client or the managers or any higher level hierarchy, what's the best architecture suitable for these projects, and how we minimize the cost, and how will means that how run the smoothly. So how we structure that, the best way to architecture any use case that we can suggest to the clients also, and for the future reference to any of the use cases. To this way you can minimize the cost. This way these technology are smoothly running, means that the memory or all these things, means that they have a lot of questions. And apart from we deploy any applications on a productions, we face exceptions, memory management, containerization, or all these things. So we go for the Google Cloud, Azure, AWS, or IBM, or any platform. But the matter is, for the client perspective, cost. How will, because of the in India in the last decade, the number of startup are in a it's a minimum price for the start, means that in startup they have a minimum amount they can run your business. So they only suggest they only concerns about, there is a idea but I don't have money. So how the best architecture we can suggest, and how we'll go for.
You're on mute. You're on mute, Ranga.
Okay, Ganesh, great question. It's so like, I would love to say that there is some architecture which everybody can adopt, right? But that's not how the real world is. Different people have different requirements. I mean, different businesses have different requirements, and they have different goals. So whenever you are designing your requirements, right? So whenever you are designing an architecture, right, you need to look at what are the business requirements, what are the technical requirements, and after that is when you go to the platform, and then you are talking about implementation. So like you need to start thinking about what you need first. A lot of times, the reason why you would have a problem is because you don't know what the business needs. So the first thing that we need to focus on is, what does the client need? It's not about building a solution. If client wants the cheapest possible solution or the cheapest possible maintenance, you need to focus on that from the day one when we start working on the solution. So like probably you have to trade off as well. Like once I say I want the cheapest possible solution, it might not be the most available solution. It might not be the most scalable application. It might not meet all the non-functional features that you would typically expect. So nothing comes for free. So whenever I'm doing architecture, I would need to think about all the different factors, functional, the business requirements, and the technical requirements, and also non-functional technical requirements, right? Availability, scalability, resilience, like all the factors needs to go into picture when you're designing the architecture. And choosing the architecture is one of the most important things that you do when you do a project. So I would doubt if somebody can say this is the architecture which is good for any project, right? Probably a few years back, like maybe when I started my career, I can say, okay, use Struts one, build a web application, and deploy it in your data center. Create probably a WebSphere server. So that's probably the easiest way to define the architecture then. But today, with the plethora of options that are available to build your applications, deploy your applications, I doubt if there would be a simple way of saying it. But if it's a startup, I would definitely say explore cloud, right? If you're a startup, you are starting new, you're building something from scratch, I don't know if you would want to go beyond cloud. So find the simplest way to deploy your application to cloud, start with it and see where it takes you. Don't really make it too complex. Cloud makes it easy. Like it helps you to focus on your business requirements. You don't really need to worry about all the technical stuff, availability, scalability, and things like that. A lot of those are provided by the cloud services themselves. So yeah, if you're a startup, start with the cloud. If you're an enterprise, you already have a lot of architects who can decide what's the right thing for you to do. So you can pay people, so get them to work. Does that answer
Yeah.
your question?
Yeah, Ranga.
Thanks, Ganesh.
Thank
Perfect.
you. Thank you, Navin.
Right. That was a big question and big answer. I lost in between. I don't know where I was looking. But
Big
that was a
answer.
good one. That was a good one. I was able to get something in between. But that's right. So deciding the architecture of your project is based on multiple factors. Not just we can't take one solution and say, hey, good for all. It depends. As Ranga
Yeah.
mentioned, it's a trade-off between different stuff. Great. So thank you, Ganesh, for being on
It's just like our life.
stream. Yeah,
Thanks.
Thanks, Ganesh.
true. Okay, so one last, I know, Ranga, I guess you're standing there, right? Or you're sitting on a chair?
Yeah, I like using a standing desk. It's kind of a temporary standing desk I've set up.
Okay, great. I have one. I don't know if it is visible. I was supposed to use this. So this is my standing stool, which I am supposed to use. But then it takes a lot of time for the setup. Okay. I should start using
For
it.
me, like I love like I mean, I think as programmers we tend to sit a lot on the chair, and like I like the exercise of standing up. So the fun part is I record my videos standing up. So I prepare for the entire course sitting down, and I record everything. I mean, people will not be able to see how I'm recording, so they don't watch me on video. But almost 90% of my content I would actually record standing up, because that's probably the only exercise I would get. So I would I've set up a recording studio in such a way that it's standing up. I can record everything, and yeah, it works pretty good. And a lot of days that's the only exercise I do.
Oh, that's perfect. Should follow that. Okay.
Hey, hi both of you. Yeah, hello
Hey,
Navin
hi.
sir.
How do I pronounce your name? Kavyansh, right?
Yeah.
I'm very bad with
Kavyansh.
names, so sorry for that.
Yeah, I just started my professional journey 3 months ago, and I'm working with Python. And as people criticize Python for its slow speed, so should I learn another language or continue with Python? And I'm working with Java and Python. Yeah. So should I learn any other language like a Java or the C++, which is quite faster?
Kavyansh, what are you doing right now? Like,
Yeah,
are you working somewhere?
Yes, I'm working in a company. Pune.
And what are you doing in your day job?
Yeah,
what are you doing in your day job?
And this is basically a training period learning Python Flask. And I got placed with after watching Navin sir lecture, like the traveling website made by Zango. So I follow the whole thing there, and I get the place there. And working actually few days ago, working with the orchestration platform Cortex Azure, and now I'm learning I'm just learning Vue.js for JavaScript. Or maybe some projects related to Vue there. So that's why I'm learning. So should I change my language or continue with?
No, I think you are doing pretty good. I don't think you need to switch, except that you focus on Python, get better at Python. You have Vue.js, that's an awesome framework to learn. So just go ahead, become an expert at both of them. So if you have an opportunity to work on something, just go use it. I don't think you need to focus on any other thing, right? If you're working in Java and you are working in cutting edge, you would continue to do that. And you are doing really well. Like Django is one of the popular web frameworks, and like Vue.js is really, really good. I mean, there are fans of Vue.js. Like lot of people even think Vue.js is better than React and Angular. Probably you are one among them. So I would recommend you to go ahead. I've not worked with Vue.js. I've built a sample full stack app, but I'm not an expert. But I've seen a lot of people who love it, right? So Vue.js is great. I have not worked with Django, but I know that Django is very, very popular. So go ahead, go deeper, like learn to design, learn to architect, and probably pick up cloud, like add cloud skills rather than thinking of another language. I would recommend you to.
I'm learning also cloud. Yeah, I'm learning it.
Awesome. Yeah. I think that's cool. I think you don't need anything.
Actually, I learned Django from Navin sir lectures.
Awesome.
And present that traveling project to my interviewer and got selected.
Okay. Then, like I have an advice.
Have you mentioned?
Yeah. I mentioned there.
Kavyansh, I just have a recommendation for you. Tell what you want to learn next, and Navin would create the videos for you.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. So that's the motivation. That's the motivation. You want to learn JavaScript?
Sir, yeah, I'm learning it, sir.
Okay, great. I was thinking about creating a series.
Yeah.
Okay,
So,
great.
Avyansh, I think you are doing really well, man. You don't really need to focus on, adding more things. It's more about becoming an expert at those, not just being good at them, but like focus, see where the opportunities are, and get really, really good at them.
True.
actually,
And
sir,
it's
my
also depend
college,
upon your company. So if you're working for a company and they say this is what you have to learn to work here,
they
go
are
with that.
providing.
You just follow the uh, stack they are providing and be good at it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Actually, in my
like this,
college,
right?
there are 60% in my batch, and out of 60, me and my friend only learning Python, and all other
Yeah.
person belongs to Java. So Java is
Yeah.
a quite. I'm very. I in the front of you guys. I don't say I hate Java, because I really don't like it Java, because it's a quite difficult for me, because I am from a mathematics background pursuing MCA, so it's a quite difficult for me. Yeah,
Yeah, it's
but
it's like any other language, right? So
yeah.
you speak, what's your mother tongue, Kavyansh?
Yeah, it's Hindi.
Hindi. Okay. So
Yeah.
if I ask you to speak Telugu, you would not
Oh,
be.
I can't.
If
I
you have
can't.
learned, yeah, it's the same. The first language you learn will always be looking easier, and the
Yeah.
other languages you learn after that will look a little different, even when it
As
comes
I
to
started
programming.
with Python, so learning Java is a quite difficult for me.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
I would recommend a book. Actually, there's a book called 7 Languages in 7 Weeks, and there is another book I love called 7 Databases in 7 Weeks. Like, try
Yeah.
that. I mean, the
Yeah.
concept is this, right? So you try and explore new languages, you try and see different ideas, and bring those ideas into your language, right? So it's all about that. And going back to your question, right? So you have the opportunity to working on the cutting edge things. Like it doesn't have to be cutting edge. Cutting edge means AI, right? It can be
Yeah.
something which is very commonly used in the industry. That itself is good enough. If you are able to get that at the job, you don't really need to worry about other things. Learn it very, very well. But if you are, let's say, working still on JSP servlets or Struts 2 or some old thing, then it's time to switch your job. So always, obviously, obviously there are reasons why those applications are still in production, because they are bringing business value somewhere, but probably they are not the right ones for you. So so probably there would be people who would not be interested in technology, for whom it might be the right project. So if you are interested in technology and you are working on old stuff, which not a lot of people used to build, so I would look at it this way. The choice is this: if I'm working on something, if I'm developing an application today, will I use the same architecture? At least 70 to 80% of it. If I'm building a new application today, use that the ballpark. If you are doing that, don't worry, you are in the right place. If you are saying only 10%, then probably it's time for you to switch.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you guys for answering my question.
Thank you, Kavya.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
perfect.
Naveen, there was just
Yeah.
I think a pop-up you brought in. Yeah. So are your videos purposefully made in a slower tone for us? I'm seeing you live right now and you are speaking fast. Okay. I didn't know that. So it's so it's
That's the
maybe I speak
observation which
fast.
only they can do it. Only viewers knows
Exactly.
how we speak. We don't observe ourselves, right? That's the thing.
Exactly. And
Yeah, but
also,
that's also my observation.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. It's maybe when I'm in front of a mic, as soon as I see the mic, I slow down. I don't know. So yeah, it's. But I think probably I'll be more conscious about it next time I'm recording a video. And the great thing is, most of the video playing software today has a speed button. So if you don't like me at 1x speed, play me at 1.2x speed or 1.5x speed, or do what I do, play everything at 2x speed.
Yeah, maybe they like it. Maybe they like it. That's the thing. They purposefully made slower tone for us because they enjoy your slower tone. It gives them enough time to understand what you're saying. And maybe it is because you're teaching. So when you're teaching, you have a different mindset. You have a different tone. This is a discussion which we are doing. So you are natural here. You're just discussing.
I think
so that's why that's the thing.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. Also, the energy levels matter a lot.
Yeah.
When you are creating a course, let's say I'm creating a 30-hour course, it would take probably a month to record.
Right.
And probably you are in different mindsets. Probably right now, I'm more engaged, more active, probably I'm not sure. I love creating videos. So yeah, it's not it's not something conscious.
Right. Okay, so we have a very technical question here. That's the last question we are going to take now. We are already reaching 2 hours. This is the highest limit. We went live on this platform. So let's take another one. This is very technical. I'm not sure. Yeah. Okay, very big one, very technical.
Wow.
Let's take this.
So service class is auto-wired in controller class. Repository class object is auto-wired in service class. And what is the order of creation? In repository class is the controller class again gets auto-wired. Okay, so if there is a circular dependency, you get a failure. So you would not be able to create another if you have set with the default settings, the application context will also not launch up at all. So yeah, because think of it like this, right? So I want to create a class, and to create that class, I need another dependency. So what does Spring do? It would go and say, I'll try and create the dependency. And that dependency has another dependency. So it would go and try to create that dependency. So the one which has the least amount of dependencies will be the one which would be created first. And so on and so forth up the chain, right? So you start with the one which does not have dependencies and auto-wire them up. So that's how the chain would work. And yeah, so circular dependencies are not really possible. So you get a runtime error. As soon as you launch a application, you get runtime. Naveen, you are also an expert on Spring. So is that right? I think so.
No, sorry, I've not. Sorry, again, I've not heard the answer.
Oh, no problem.
Yeah, so you said something about the error, right? So yeah, it will give the error.
Yeah, I said circular dependency would depend on will give you an error. The context would not launch up.
Right. Cool. Okay. I'm just looking for some questions on the chat if they have. Someone asked about your YouTube channel, and it is in 28 minutes. That was the answer. We got a super chat. Thank you so much, Girish, for the super chat. And
thanks, Girish.
Yeah.
Any In 28 Minutes fan out there? Do send all of them do send a lot of super chats to Naveen right now.
Yes. I love super chats.
Super chats, please.
Yeah, paisa aana chahiye, kaise bhi aaye.
No, you are
I'm not
doing
sure
good
how much
stuff.
Hindi you know.
I mean,
yeah.
मैं कुछ हिंदी बात करता हूँ, लेकिन आपके जैसे नहीं.
I was born and brought up in Mumbai.
Okay, I was in Hyderabad. I studied Hindi as my second language. I watch a lot of movies, old stuff, maybe like Shah Rukh Khan, Amir Khan, not the latest stuff. So yeah, probably I'm outdated on movies, but probably the language is still the same. I understand everything.
In fact,
I cannot speak as it fluently.
That's enough. That should be enough. In fact, I was born and brought up in Mumbai, so all my friends are from North. So most of them speak Hindi. So Hindi becomes my natural language. So if not on YouTube, I prefer Hindi language. Maybe I should start. Making videos in Hindi as well.
I think that's a great idea.
Yeah,
I think a lot of people are having success creating language content, right? So I think it's also perfect time. You have a lot of audience as well.
Yeah, true. I should start with that as well. Naveen, Akshay says, Naveen sir, why is you're so serious? Because all my energy has been extracted and got installed in Ranga today. So you can see how much excited he is. Maybe you're comparing my energy with Ranga's energy. So yeah,
I think
I'm looking a bit serious.
See, I have the easy job. I just need to see the question and answer it, right? I don't need to worry about managing anything in the background, right? I mean, I think choosing the questions, putting them up, and also all the technology behind getting people live, right? It's not easy. I think it needs focus, and that's why he's looking serious, I guess.
Yeah, thank you for the answer. That's the correct one. Looking at multiple screens here, it's actually tricky. But next time I will make sure that before coming live, I will stand. I will not sit. I will use my standing stool there to take the live sessions. Next, I will have a coffee with me, which I'm. So today I'm drinking. Someone said I'm drinking beer. No, it's a water. I don't know if you can see this. Plain water. So so next time I'll take a coffee.
Okay, probably we should do one drinking beer as well. Probably
Yeah,
then we'll both be
not
active.
Yeah, maybe on the different channel. Okay, great. It was a great session. We already crossed. We are reaching 2 hours, and we got one last super chat which we can answer. And the question is, so happy to see Ranga and Naveen. Hey, Naveen, why don't you speak in Telugu at all? See, as I mentioned, I was born and brought up in Mumbai. I can understand Telugu perfectly. So when I go to my native place, in my house as well, sometimes my brother, my mom speaks Telugu, so I do understand perfectly. I can speak if required, but that doesn't come natural to me. But I can speak Telugu. At least you can understand what I'm trying to convey. I will not be using perfect words, but yeah.
And Shashi, if you want to hear me talking in Telugu, you can watch my C++ Java tutorial for fun.
Okay, you already have it. Okay.
So, yeah, you can search for C in Telugu in 28 minutes and you should be able to watch it. Again, don't judge me on that because those videos are some of the first videos I created. And as far as the quality goes, I won't be happy with them today. But I mean, I love them anyway because that's the way I started off.
That's how we started. In fact, if you see my videos, I don't like them, but that's how we started, right? That's the journey.
And also, Naveen, I see a lot of huge work you are doing in your setup right now. I think your video quality is awesome.
You're trying to upgrade. So I was supposed to use a camera as well today, but as I mentioned, before the live, there was some technical issues, so I'm using a normal webcam. But yeah, I spent some good amount of money on the setup to improve the quality.
Okay.
But yeah, for me as well, at this point as well, focusing more on content is more important than focusing on the quality. So quality is good, but because of quality, content is going bad. So maybe content is more important.
Yeah. I think as long as the content is really, really good, I doubt. See, it's like this, right? If you look at Telugu, right, there are directors who take 2 years. Maniratnam, for example, Tamil, right? He takes few years to take a movie. The same 2-hour movie which somebody can probably do in 3 hours. And it's just, I think, how we think probably. As long as the content is good, how you present it can vary, right? People will be okay. But the better quality you have, obviously, the better it is.
True. And the other way around, if you have a great quality video but bad content, no one will watch it. Doesn't matter how good the quality is, right? So content and quality goes hand in hand.
Naveen, I wouldn't necessarily agree with that. I think presentation is very, very important. Yeah, I think presentation.
I'm talking about the video quality.
Yeah, video quality. Yeah, absolutely. I think presentation is important, especially in these days, right? Maybe earlier content was important, but now I think the balance is slowly shifting towards presentation. And I'm still old school. I'm very old school, I would say. Very, very old school. So probably I need some more time to change.
No, you're doing what works for you. I'm doing what works for me. So that's important.
Yeah, I think that's another important thing, right? So yeah, it's what you're comfortable with also matters a lot.
Right.
And what works.
Perfect. Okay. So we already crossed 2 hours, and thank you so much. We'll again get you live on this platform. It doesn't matter if I got someone else or not. We'll get you for some other topics. I will just look at your courses, and the moment I have some more, so I will go live again after a few days alone. And if I get those questions, I'll ping you. Hey, Ranga, we need you here. So you'll be getting 2 minutes to come back.
Yeah, unless I'm in a course recording, I would definitely respond back to you. should not be a problem at all.
Sure. That's
I
the
mean,
openness.
I don't have a.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I mean, Naveen, I think this is a great thing that you are doing, right? So it's like creating content is one thing, but providing direction to people is something which we don't focus on as much as we should, right? So a lot of people don't even know what to learn, how to go about doing things, and that's where I think like at least I am not doing sufficiently enough, and that's where I see this, right? So you're bringing me live, and we are helping. You are an expert. You know a lot. I have some experience. I'm also working on a lot of different things, and we are just sharing our experience, and that's a great platform you are providing to people, right? It's like it's amazing for your audience as well, right? So it's great stuff. I really love being here. It's not often that people see me, and like really thankful to you for providing me with this opportunity. And I hope the audience had a good time, and hopefully they got something out of this session.
In fact, it's my pleasure to bring you on this platform, and they enjoyed it. So looking at the comments, so when you get free time, Ranga, after a few minutes, this video will be live on YouTube. Just look at the comments and you will love it. So I can see a lot of good comments. I was not able to get everything on the screen, but if I get enough time, I can just get all the good comments on the screen, and you will enjoy it. So everyone enjoyed. In fact, we enjoyed. That's more important.
Thank you. Yeah.
And so that's it from this live session, everyone. I hope you enjoyed. Of course, I can see the comments you enjoyed. Hit that like button and share the videos, and also visit In28Minutes on YouTube and on Udemy as well, In28Minutes, to learn about new technologies, Java, DevOps, cloud, microservices. You name a technology in Java track, 99.99% it will be there. Maybe 0.01% there might be a technology which we don't even use. So that might not be there, but you will find all the videos, all the courses.
Yeah, thank you, Naveen.
So thank you so much.
Those are.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yes, go on.
Thank you, Naveen. Yeah, thank you. Actually, thanks a lot for the opportunity, Naveen. And yeah, I think it's been a lot of pleasure for me to be here and like continue doing the great stuff. Like you are doing amazing stuff, and I would expect something great coming on blockchain and things like that as well. So thank you.
Yeah, that will be great. Do watch my videos when you learn blockchain. So with that, ending the live stream.